This room, the wood, the nails, the paint, the people who build this house, this table, the people who sit and sat at this table, a splinter of this table, a quark, the word, the sound of the word, me, the time of telling you this, the thoughts I had about this sentence, the things you are going to hear. What is the sum up of all things present that shaped the moment of this mini lecture performance? There are too many objects to sum up. Obviously, detecting, distinguishing, segmenting objects from one another has an infinite potential. Let's consider everything you will be able to identify as an object as the outcome of interactive relationships. The object isn't an isolated entity that waits for companionship to interact with, but instead becomes a symptom, always already itself generated by one or several interactions. Entities are coming together to enable this object to be. The object is no longer an independent unit, but the epicenter of multiple interactions. We leap in an open, boundaryless field of relations. The object is not one, but many working together. They build dikes to keep the water out. Engineering, they called it. Reclaiming land from the sea. Turning wetlands into pasture. They eagerly set their cows out to fatten on the native grasses. The diking changed the river from a capillary system to a single straightened flow to hurry the river to the sea. It might have been good for cows, but it was disastrous for young salmon, who were now unceremoniously flushed to the sea. The transition to saltwater is a major assault on the body chemistry of a salmon born in freshwater. The wetland buffer between river and ocean plays a critical role in salmon survival. The ones that made it, though, came home to an empty house, dark and lonely. And now we haven't even spoken on all of those who are in connection with salmon, and all others who thrive in and in relation to our wetlands. More than any other factor, it is the environment, the conditions under which development takes place, which either do or don't meet our multiple needs, that determines which potentials will or will not manifest. This is as true for us as any other life form. Consider the acorn. It is in the nature of an acorn, we might say, to become an oak tree, but only if the climate and soil are right, provided no enterprising squirrel squirrels it away for winter sustenance. Even if it roots and sprouts successfully, the size and healthy branching of the oak tree born out of the acorn would depend on what nourishment the ground can provide, climatic conditions, sunlight, irrigation, its spacing from or proximity to its fellow flora, and so on. We, too, have needs the environment must satisfy if we are to flourish. In Fantastic Institutions, Sarah Van Hey is mentioning a research on how the mental health state is for people in relation to their jobs, an environment they are in a lot. The research shows that in Flanders, Belgium, 1 out of 2 people who are employed think their job is not workable, and that in the near future they will not be able to keep up any longer because of too much stress, not enough motivation, physical or mental exhaustion, the impossibility to combine work and family life, etc. This means in one of the richest regions in Europe, half of the people who have a job find their job reality unbearable. In her project Lecture for Everyone, a series of surprise interventions into different gatherings, for example during meetings at offices and institutions, she and other performers share a text about the world's state of affairs and the way we live together. The following response came up. Sarah says that the most amazing statement for me was that I, as an artist, bring the real life into the fake life of the corporations, quite contrary to the populist idea that artists live in a bubble, and quite funny in relation to the current demand for art to engage more with real life. On another instance, she had a talk with a taxi driver in Paris who was driving her to a theater. He said, "It's such a pity people don't go to the theater anymore. Society just wears them out. They don't have the mental space anymore for it." And he explained to her that in his memory 20 years ago, more people would go out in the evening, but now people are simply too tired to go anywhere. They cannot insert another activity in their dense family planning, and buying tickets to the theater for 2 plus a babysit is too expensive. There you go then, as an art institution, trying to reach audience members, targeting groups according to race, gender, class, selling the artworks as an event in the hope that with a nice glass of wine and a catchy image, it will all feel a little less demanding. But people are just tired. We cannot speak of institutions unless we speak of the world. Last week, I attended an artist talk with Monique Vernon, who exhibited her The Sustainable Woman project. She has been exploring for 10 years. How does one become a sustainable woman, human being, artist, in today's society? Using herself as an example, performing daily life performances and inviting others to participate. Exploring the boundaries between private and public, between life and art. I asked at the end of this talk if she had discovered when is it the systems, institutions, and when is it individual action that is required to avoid exhaustion to become more sustainable. In other words, what is us and what is our environment? Doubting if they can be talked about separately at all. We cannot speak of institutions unless we speak of the world. In my Samarbetet publication text from last year, Notes on Collaboration as Communion, I wondered about the spiritual dimension connected to fantastic institutions and Samarbetet in our understanding of relationships, collaborations, and sharing. There is obviously something in that the system or institution tend to burn us out, seem to destroy something vital. Philosopher and cultural theorist Byung-Chul Han points out in Vita Contempliva the consequences of intense striving to grow and to fill a lack solely by ourselves. It exhausts us and makes us lose the ability to be inactive. We end up resembling machines that simply function. What is the institution serving? What does it ideally create for establishment? If exhaustion comes from a type of overworking, continuous working without a rest, without a proper pause, without moments of listening, seeing, without observing what is going on, being inactive, without noticing how things ripple through time in circles, in ecosystems, without then have the time to dwell in the present and take in honorable consideration of all that is connected. How can one possibly establish something in the future that serves society and cultures? Bhuan Chulhan says, the root of the current crisis is the disintegration of everything that gives life meaning and orientation. Inactivity isn't just coming forth as a reward, but it is the ultimate purpose of human endeavor. If all is intricately woven, how can we have human in the center of the world and not take in consideration other eyes? And to actually see all the others, all the objects, all the systems they are connecting into, wouldn't that in fact require a slowness, an inactivity of your own manifestations? In my notes on collaboration as communion text, I make a link between inactivity, the rest, and the sense of home. I wrote, one thing that continues to pleasantly surprise me is that many who come and visit or work at Skogen say to be feeling at home. This was true of my own first encounter with Skogen as well, experiencing a deep sense of familiarity, a hospitality and an openness. There are no ticket sales or counter at the entrance. The rooms are all open, nothing is really locked. What if Selman has been disturbed in her sense of home? And Aiken's home is all that is working together to make one another grow, flourish, nourish. And when the participants in Sarah Van Hay's lecture for everyone, noticing on bringing real life into their fake life, commenting on the sense of relief that someone finally brings and reminds of a state long sought after in their starved, rushed, stressful work conditions. How can we become sustainable humans that work the land and then working is a delight to us? How are we opening up to environments that suits us, that really suits us? And us, not just us, but all of us. Not trying and fill a lack by ourselves in isolation, but we organize ourselves to do it together, as Johan writes in his Samarbetet Sin text. and it struck me. Our common home is like a sister with whom we share our life, and a beautiful mother who opens her arms to embrace us. This sister now cries out to us because of the harm we have inflicted on her by our irresponsible use and abuse of the goods which she has endowed us. Have we forgotten that we ourselves are dust of the earth? Our very bodies are made up of her elements. We breathe her air, and we receive life and refreshment from her waters. Have our institutions forgotten that they are meant to serve our common home? Our wetlands, our forests. As Etta Saver writes about Matskog, we are planting a large-scale food forest together with anyone who wants to join us, for the benefit of us all and those who come after us, where many small initiatives add up to big change. This is a movement for biodiversity, food security, and community, for a regenerative, healthy ecosystem for us and other species to live in. A food forest with nut trees can provide food for over 1,000 years. This place, a boundaryless field of relations, this earth, there where it is alive all the time.